Hi, I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be on comparing functions. Before we get started on the video, make sure that you checked last night's homework on page 11 with the answer key that I posted. I'm going to be putting most of the posts and assignments now underneath the assignment tabs, so please make sure you're clicking on those to see the videos, get your homework assignments, and check your answer keys. For this lesson, you're going to be trying a few of the questions on your own first. So if you open your packet to page 13, I want you to try the questions on pages 13 and 14 first before you start watching the video. If you don't have the packet printed, you can just use a separate piece of paper and look at the questions on your computer by opening up the document that I posted last week or the week before. So pause the video now, open to page 13, and try the questions 1 through 6. Once you attempted them, then take and continue with the video. Okay. Question number 1 on page 13, the answer should be choice 3. For this question, they're asking you for the smaller minimum value. That means that they want the smallest y value on the table. It also means the lowest y value on the graph. So you have two choices. You can either graph both q of x and r of x and see which one has the lowest y value and what it is, or you can take a look at your table of values. Now keep in mind the minimum is also going to be the same as the vertex, specifically the y value of the vertex. For r of x, my vertex is 2, negative 16, so my y value is negative 16. For q of x, you do need to take and make a table. I'm going to shorten the tables just to save some time, so I'm just going to go from negative 2 to 0, negative 8, negative 9, and negative 8. For this one, my vertex turns out to be 1, negative 9. If they're specifically asking you for the smaller y value, if you have a negative 9 and a negative 16, negative 16 will be the smaller number. Therefore, r of x must be the quadratic that they're talking about with the value of negative 16. Again, if you wanted to, you could take and plot the points and see where the y value would be lower. For question number 2, the correct answer is 4. Now for this one, it was just easier for me to take a picture with all of the work on it. You do have to show a lot of work on this one in order to get the correct answer. So first of all, you're given the table for n of x, and you're not given the table for g of x. So the very first thing that you need to do is to copy down the table for g of x. Once you copy down the table, you're going to realize that the vertex was not given to you. That's because it is going to be a decimal value. So on your table, you would see a 6 and a 6, and you would have to realize that your vertex has to be between 0 and negative 1, making it negative 0.5. In order to get the y value on your table, you need to change your table by doing second window, change in table, and make that a 0.5. Then you can look back at your table and realize that at negative 0.5, your y value will be 6.25. Now choice 1 is talking about the average rate of change, which is referring to the slope. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now for this, you specifically need to use the points for negative 1 and 1. These would be the coordinates you're going to be plugging in for the slope formula. And for g of x, you will be using negative 1, 6 and 1, 4 to do your slope formula. Once you plug them into the slope formula, you're going to get a slope of 2 and a slope of -1. Now this question is asking whether or not n of x is less than g of x. 2 is not less than -1, therefore your answer cannot be choice 1. So you should take and cross that out. Now for choice 2, they're talking about the y-intercept. The y-intercept, when you look at your table, is where x equals 0. So when x equals 0, your g of x, my y-intercept is 6, and for n of x, my y-intercept is 8. In this case, they're saying that g of x is greater than n of x, meaning 6 is greater than 8, which is not the case, so your answer will not be choice 2. For choice 3, the greatest maximum value, that's talking about your y value of the vertex. So for g of x, it's 6.25, and for n of x, it's going to be 9. They're saying that g of x is greater than n of x, but 6.25 is not greater than 9, so it cannot be choice 3. Choice 4, they want the sum, which means to add the roots together. The roots are going to be where y is equal to 0. So your roots for n of x would be -2 and 4, and when I add that together, I get 2. And for g of x, I have -3 and 2. When I add that together, I get -1. They're saying that n of x is greater than g of x, and in this case, 2 is greater than -1, therefore that would be correct. But again, on some of the multiple choice, you do have to show a lot of work in order to get the correct answer. Question number 3 is a little bit shorter. This one, the correct answer is choice 2. If they're looking for the largest maximum value, they're looking for the largest y value, meaning you need to take and make a table of values for your f of x for choice 1 and for your g of x for your choice 3. Pause your video and fill those in now. When you copy down the tables for choice 1 and 3, you're going to notice that the vertex for choice 3 is 1, 5, and for choice 3 is 5, 5. If you're looking at choice 2, your vertex will have to be in between 5 and 5, meaning it's going to be a little above the 5. And for choice 4, it would be a little above the 3. So if they want to know for the maximum, since choice 3 has a 5, which is the same as choice 3, 3 is below it, so it definitely can't be that. Your answer has to be choice 2 because it's going to be a number a little bit above 5. So number 3 is going to be choice 2. Let's continue on to question number 4 on page 14. This question is asking which of the following statements are true. Now, on the graph, they're graphing h of x, and in the questions, they're asking you to compare it to g of x. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to make a table for g of x so that you can take and compare both of the graphs. Pause the video now, make your table, and plot those points. Once you graph g of x, be sure to put arrows on the end and label it. Once you graph it, the questions are going to be easier that go along with it. So for choice 1, it says that g of x has a lower minimum than h of x. G of x, this would be my minimum, and this would be h of x. So yes, that would be true because my vertex for g of x is lower than h of x. For choice for 2, it says, for all values of x, h of x is less than g of x. Now, this is referring to your y values. So this is saying that all of my y values for h of x, which would be up here, are lower than that of g of x, which is here. So that would not be true because g of x, the points are clearly lower. Then, for statement number 3, it says, for any value of x, they would not be equal to each other. Well, that would be true because these graphs never intersect each other, which is what this is saying, that they do not intersect is a true statement. Therefore, 1 and 3 would both be true, so your answer would be choice 2. Going on to question number 5, the correct answer should be B. In order to do this, you would realize that the first one for A is a line. A line does not have a min or a max, therefore it cannot be choice 4. For B, this would be a parabola. When you take and graph the parabola, you should probably make a table of values. You would notice that this has a minimum. Therefore, B has a minimum, which is correct, and C has a maximum, which would be correct. But again, you should always take and look at all of your choices, but they do not have the same zeros, which is where it touches the x-axis. These values would not be the same as the values of the other one, and A and B do not have the same y-intercept. Going on to question number 6, the correct answer should be choice 4. In order to do this, they want you to take and talk about the input as 4. That means when x is 4, they're looking for what your y value is. So on this last one, when x is 4, y is 3. For q of x, you should make a table and write down when x is 4, you're going to notice y is 3. And if I look where x is 4 and I go up, I would notice that y is equal to 3. So in this case, when the input is 4, which function has the same output value? They all have an output of 3. Therefore, your answer would be choice 4. Now, for homework tonight, you're going to be doing page 15 in your packet. Make sure you also do the top, name the graphs for me. In addition to page 15 in the packet, you're going to be doing 20 minutes of IXL or until you get an 85 on each of the sections. So if you get an 85 on each of the sections before the 20 minutes, you can stop. Some of you may not reach all of the sections within the 20-minute time. That's fine. You can stop after 20 minutes even if you did not get to some of the sections. Please make sure that you are only doing the sections that are listed here, and they're also listed on the assignment tab. So please make sure you click on that and do the correct assignment, not just the highlighted ones. Have a terrific Tuesday. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.